In 1700, nearly $1 out of every $4 in the global economy belonged to India. It was an epicenter of commerce, famed for its silks, precious gems, and spices that were sought across the known world. But just 2 centuries later, that colossal share had evaporated to almost nothing. So where did it all go? The answer lies not in a chest of gold, but in a system of financial control. Welcome to Winds of Thought. This isn't a tale of battles or nationalism. It's a story of numbers. It's about how a land of immense prosperity was systematically dismantled into poverty through economic policy. And it all started with a company that became an empire. Before the British flag ever flew, the Mughal Empire was a powerhouse of nearly 150 million people. Its textiles were legendary, its agricultural output immense. European traders competed fiercely for Indian cotton and pepper, sending shiploads of silver and gold into the subcontinent in return. The wealth flowed in, but a new kind of organization was rising in the West. In 1600, the British East India Company was formed. It wasn't just a trading firm. It was a corporation with its own army and the power to make war. Initially, it was just one of many players, but its strategy would change everything. The pivotal moment arrived in 1757 at the Battle of Plassey. With a small force, the company defeated the Nawab of Bengal. The real victory, however, was financial. They installed a puppet ruler and seized the right to collect Bengal's taxes. Overnight, a corporate entity became a tax-collecting state. What followed was a torrent of wealth leaving India. The company siphoned tens of millions of pounds annually from Bengal alone. The local economy, drained of its capital, collapsed into famine. Prosperity was exported. Starvation was left behind. In London, investors grew rich from dividends funded by these distant taxes. They saw numbers on a balance sheet, not the suffering it represented. This corporate rule perfected a mechanism of extraction. When a devastating famine struck Bengal in 1770, killing millions, the company's tax collections did not stop. Revenues even increased. The logic of profit had completely overridden humanity. Eventually, the British Crown took direct control, but the financial machinery only became more refined. The Raj instituted home charges, annual payments India was forced to make to Britain. These were for services like official salaries and interest on loans for infrastructure. In reality, it was a brilliant accounting trick for siphoning wealth. Vast sums left the country every year with nothing given in return. The economic transformation was brutal. India, once a global manufacturer of luxury textiles, was deliberately deindustrialized. British policy forced it to export raw cotton and then import the finished cloth from British factories. The legendary weavers of cities like Dhaka were ruined. The loom fell silent so the mill could roar. A civilization of artisans was converted into a nation of peasants. This system funded Britain's own industrial revolution. Historians have calculated the total extraction over 2 centuries to be a staggering $45 trillion in today's money. That is more than the combined GDP of the United States and China. The railways, often touted as a gift of the empire, were a perfect example of this skewed logic. They were built with British capital, but Indian taxpayers guaranteed a 5% return to the investors back in London. The profits were privatized. The risks and costs were socialized in India. Even India's own resources were used to bankroll the empire's global ambitions. Indian revenues paid for British wars in Africa and Asia. Indian soldiers fought across the world, with their wages billed to the Indian treasury. The colony had become the empire's central bank. By the time India gained independence in 1947, it was a shadow of its former self. Its share of the world economy had been crushed. It inherited widespread poverty, illiteracy, and a shattered industrial base. But the mechanisms of extraction did not disappear. They evolved. The modern global economy operates on a similar blueprint. Today, we see it in debt dependency and structural adjustment programs, where wealth flows from developing nations to wealthy ones through interest payments and unequal trade. The tools have changed from ledgers to loan agreements, but the direction of the flow remains the same. The empire proved that conquest doesn't always require an army. Sometimes, the most powerful weapon is a balanced book, and the legacy of that system is a world still shaped by those old imbalances. India's incredible recovery in recent decades is a testament to its resilience, but the scars of history run deep. If this exploration of how finance shapes history gave you a new perspective, Please support this channel by hitting the like button and subscribing to Winds of Thought. The past holds the key to understanding our present.